And good morning. Welcome to News 3 Now. This morning, we have special alert day coverage this morning. I'm Kyrian Lee.
I'm Chris Stanford. We have team coverage, Shannon Rito, here in studio, tracking the next threats and that storm round that pushed through overnight. Josh Sprider is live in Prairie du Sac this morning, surveying some of the damage. We'll get to him in a moment. Savannah, what do we need to know right now?
Yeah, so right now we're out of the woods for severe weather for the morning, not as a whole today. We are going to see likely widespread severe storms that push back in later this afternoon and evening. So we have an alert day today and then another chance of severe weather tomorrow. Really highlighting Tuesday. That's the day we've been watching for the last several days, and there could even be some stronger tornadoes. We did potentially have a lot of straight line wind damage and maybe even some tornado touchdowns. We're waiting on the National Weather Service to confirm if they did officially touch down. They'll send crews out to survey the damage in the next couple of hours. But these are the storms that raced through the last several hours. Closer to midnight, and even parts of Dane County saw that linger into about 1:30. That's all moved out of here now. We are not left with anything. A couple of showers down southeast of here in northern Illinois, but most of the damage that we had was due to the severe thunderstorm wind damage. That's all the yellows or oranges. We even had some hail reports. That's the blues up near the Camp Douglas area. But yeah, most of them was due to straight line wind damage. There's power lines down, trees and branches in some roadways, and power outages that we're still tracking at this hour. A lot of that heavy rain did fall to our north up towards the Dells, Camp Douglas, and west of Fond du Lac, 2 to 3 inches up there. We did see 1/10 of an inch up to about close to an inch. That's for far southeastern parts of Dane County and Jefferson County. But like I said, not out of the woods yet. For now we are, but we have another chance of severe weather later, which we'll forecast those alert day conditions in just a bit. But Josh, he's in Prairie du Sac. Tell us what you're seeing out there live, Josh, this morning.
Hey Savannah, good morning to you. Yeah, we are on the city's north side here, the water tower right behind us. This is Tower Street and the Milwaukee Valve building right here, smack dab between Water and 13th Street. You can see the tin roof kind of in pieces here on the ground, along with a lot of the foundation, or not foundation, some of the insulation, and all of that debris litters all the way down Tower Street. You can see into the trees here, some residents along this building as well, so you can see just how powerful those winds were in taking the roof from the Milwaukee Valve building and really littering this whole neighborhood in here. I can tell you on our drive up to Prairie du Sac, there was a lot of debris littering the roadways. One thing of note, if you were heading from the Sauk area down to Madison, the stoplights at Highway 19 and 12 are currently out, so there was a little bit of a backup there. We noticed a lot of power lines down in the Springfield Corners area, so a lot of folks are waking up to see some of that damage, but this is some of the more significant of the damage that we've seen so far. The good news is no injuries have been reported, at least with this incident. We're going to continue monitoring this and bringing new developments on some of the damage across the area. Guys, back to you.
All right, Josh, sounds good. We'll talk with you a little bit later. Want to show you some more damage from northern Dane County, where a church is damaged. These pictures here from St. Joseph's in East Bristol, posted to its Facebook page. They show part of the roof ripped off, debris and damage inside the church where people worship. The Post says a tornado hit the church overnight, but officials are still determining if that is the case. This was one of the areas hardest hit by last night's storms.
Again, getting some more viewer photos of overnight damage. Again, this is from Desiree in Prairie du Sac. First photo here, you can see a tree on top of a home. Then you can also see just trees in general down around that area. So thank you for sending these in. You know, it really helps us tell the story.
Sure does. Power outages, those power companies trying to get the lights back on for more than 10,000 customers who lost power overnight. At one point, there were about 21,000 Alliant and MG&E customers in the dark. At this hour, about 9,000 Alliant Energy customers are without. Most of those we are seeing in the Sun Prairie and DeForest area, up near Lake Wisconsin and down near Cottage Grove. MG&E outages at this hour, there's about 4,700 of those, which is about 3,000 customers less than at the worst time, as they try to get power back on for people. I mean, they're so scattered. There are so many. That line of storms that pushed through last night was so widespread. So we're not surprised to see just how many scattered outages there are this morning. Wanted to show you this video too from the Union Terrace last night. You can see flashes off in the distance. Some power flashes here. This is likely in the Lodi Prairie du Sac area, where we are seeing some of the worst of the damage to the Prairie du Sac area. That's where Josh Sprider was just a moment ago. We do not know if this was caused by straight line winds or tornadoes at this point. That is something that the National Weather Service will be out probably surveying within the next couple of days to see. We do want to thank Israel for sending in this video.
Yes, we do. Lots going on out there, Savannah. I mean, you guys had been tracking it since late last night into the morning hours. And it's been a lot going on.
Yeah, but luckily, at least during the morning hours, we're out of the woods now. But yeah, I do think the National Weather Service is going to send some crews out. Might be a little hard just because we have like daily severe weather chances, but they're probably going to do as best as they can to get all that info out to us too, which we'll obviously relay back to you once we get the word if we did see tornadoes briefly touch down. I don't think they were on the ground for a long time, but there was some rotation that we were watching on radar significantly last night.
I'm saying this is a system you guys have been tracking for several days as well.
Yeah, like early to midweek last week, we were highlighting this early stretch of the week, and I think we could even see some severe weather Friday too. So basically now through Friday, daily storm chances, but today's likely going to be the worst of that.
All right, so keeping us on our toes here.
Yes.
Savannah, thanks for keeping us updated. And remember to stay weather aware. You can track the alert day conditions yourself using our free First Warn Weather app. You can find that in your app store.
In other local news this morning, today, the Rock County mother accused of killing her 14-year-old daughter is expected to appear in court.
A criminal complaint says Thais Oninsky is accused of using a knife to kill her 14-year-old daughter, Corinne Rain, last month before later attempting to take her own life. The complaint also says Oninsky made statements during the investigation that referenced Elon Musk as part of a claimed motive. Oninsky faces a first-degree intentional homicide charge and is being held on a $1 million bond. She is expected to appear in court at 3 this afternoon.
A male suspect of a kidnapping is dead after leading law enforcement on a chase that spanned multiple counties. Wanakee police say the suspect broke into an ex-partner's home Friday and held her against her will. It wasn't until Sunday she got away and contacted police, and that's when a chase began and entered Columbia County, and at one point the truck left the road and crashed in the town of Caledonia. The driver then ran into a marsh. Police tried to negotiate with him, but he shot himself. Life-saving measures were attempted, but he died at the scene.
A Michigan man is in custody after allegedly stealing an ambulance and leading police on a chase. Authorities say the incident started as a welfare check near Highway 11 in the town of Monroe Sunday night. The man reportedly walked away from officers and then got into the ambulance, leading to an 11-mile pursuit. The chase ended after the ambulance hit spike strips and came to a stop. Authorities say the suspect ran on foot but was later arrested. He faces charges including fleeing police and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. To the war in the Middle East. Right now, reports say a U.S.-led naval operation near the Strait of Hormuz is entering its second day.
This comes just days after neither the U.S. nor Iran could reach a peace deal over the weekend. A U.S. official says at least 15 ships, including an aircraft carrier and 11 destroyers, are taking part in the blockade. The president says his administration received a call from Iranian officials saying that Tehran wants to make a deal very badly. Meantime, let's take a look at what the war overseas is doing for price here at the pump. The statewide average this morning is $3.78. The national average is $4.12.
And this comes amid continued uncertainty over another possible set of peace talks between the U.S. and Iran. Sources tell CNN the Trump administration is interested in holding a second meeting, but it's unclear if Iran is interested. This comes as the State Department says today the U.S. is expected to hold talks between Lebanon and Israel, aimed at Israel's security and Lebanon's push for full sovereignty. Well, just days after Governor Evers signed a new bill legalizing online sports betting in Wisconsin, new research shows online gambling is on the rise among young teens. A survey from Common Sense Media shows about 36% of boys ages 11 to 17 have gambled in the past year. That number is even higher among older teens, rising to 49% for 17-year-old boys.
Kids might be hiding their apps from you. They could be deleting their apps. They're hiding their screens. Key things to look for is that on the actual live game days, they get very irritable. They get very anxious. They suddenly become unavailable to you. You will be noticing that they're asking for more money, advances on their allowances. They might be selling things of their own that are very important to them, or they're coming home with a lot of cash.
Experts say other warning signs of problem gambling in children include changes in sleep, hygiene, or grades, as well as potential involvement with other addictive behaviors.
6:09 now. Today, Amtrak wants your thoughts on bringing passenger rail service to the Madison area. Right now, the company is planning on extending its Hiawatha line into Dane and Jefferson counties. To do so, they would have to first build a temporary station in Madison and Watertown. Amtrak says one could be built near Wilson Street in 2028 and could begin service in 2029. The Hiawatha line runs from Milwaukee to Chicago at the moment. Amtrak hopes to extend it all the way to the Twin Cities, passing through Madison. Today's meeting, if you want to take part, is online at 7 p.m. Register at the City of Madison's website. All right, we have a couple of school closures this morning because of power outages due to the storm. Columbus schools are closed today because of outages. There is no early childhood as well. Columbus Zion Lutheran is closed today too. We're seeing a lot of outages in communities affecting pretty much most of the News 3 Now viewing area.
Yeah, so we're seeing how these storms are already impacting our days, so you might want to plan ahead if you are headed out the door this morning. Savannah, what can people see as they're headed out?
Well, definitely a lot of that storm damage, but radar is not active. This is a loop starting with the last 6 hours. We had these severe storms that raced out of Minnesota and Iowa and actually went severe right across like the Dane County area, and then as they pushed eastward, producing several tornado warnings and a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. But again, we are not seeing any severe weather. We have a pretty dry radar at this moment with skies that are eventually going to briefly clear before we see another round of severe weather later in the day. Most of our damage reports were due to severe thunderstorm winds. That's the orange. We even had some hail to our northwest. Lots of heavy rain with this, but want to stay forward focusing today and tomorrow. Alert days. Today is going to be the later afternoon, early evening hours. We could even see some strong tornadoes. We'll time that out coming up in just a little bit.
Savannah, thank you.
As we take a live look outside this morning, we'll keep showing you the damage. We'll have a live report from Josh Sprider, who's in Prairie du Sac, where they saw some of the worst of it overnight coming up. And we'll get you updated on the effort to restore power for thousands of customers. We're back after this.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Well, it's been a busy Tuesday already so far, and we're not out of the woods yet. Yes, this morning we are, but later this afternoon and evening, we're going to be dealing with widespread severe weather that is likely all throughout southern Wisconsin and parts of northern Illinois, including a tornado threat too. Not only today an alert day, but tomorrow is one as well. So let's recap the storms that we had overnight first. We did see this line of showers and thunderstorms that pretty quickly went severe once it did reach parts of Madison and eastern Dane County, and they pretty much held their strength as they continued to push eastward. We do not have any severe weather anymore, but we had a lot of severe thunderstorm wind damage to the east and north of Madison, and even some hail that was reported up near the Camp Douglas area. We're waiting on word once the National Weather Service office in Milwaukee sends out crews to survey that damage if we did briefly perhaps see a couple of weaker spin-ups or tornadoes that did touch down. Right now there is no reports of any official tornado reports, but we did see a lot of rotation on radar overnight into early parts of this morning. Dry radar now. Our forward focus is the storm threat for later in the day. Starting today specifically, this is for Tuesday, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Our next chance of severe weather, that time frame and window will open up, peaking between about 5 to 10 p.m. A little earlier for areas west of Madison, a little bit later, closer to that 9 to 10 p.m. time frame if you're east of Madison. That'll end between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Now, I do want to reiterate, this is for the most widespread severe weather. Just because we get past that 1 a.m. time frame does not mean we're out of the woods yet. I think we're going to continue to see several stronger storms potentially overnight like we did early this morning. It's not going to be as widespread with a line, but a couple of cells could be possible. Pretty much everyone's included, basically Fond du Lac down to south areas into northern Illinois included in that level 3 out of 5 on where the best severe weather chances are. We've been highlighting that today is the day to watch out of the next several, even compared to last night. I do anticipate a more active radar and overall storm threat for today. Once we get to tomorrow, we have a less of a storm chance, but still there where we likely could see some isolated severe thunderstorms. Today's the day where it likely is going to be the most widespread though. Threats include tornadoes. Again, some of those could be strong to even intense. Large hail where we have 2 to 4 inches in diameter. That is very large hail. High winds, they could exceed 70 plus miles per hour. And even concerned about flooding. We do have flood warnings and advisories in place. We've got a flood watch north of Madison. We had a lot of heavy rain and some ponding on waters that could lead you to hydroplaning or some slick road conditions because of the water and the heavy rain that we did see. And we do have more rain obviously, that's in the forecast that will produce some more flooding potentially and definitely pockets of heavy rain. So now through early this afternoon, we're going to be dry. This is lunchtime. Temperatures expected to be in the lower to mid 70s at this point in time, maybe a few pockets of sunshine earlier than this, but I think we'll cloud over pretty quickly. Then once we reach closer to about 2 to 2:30, that's when our time frame opens up. This is going to come in a couple different rounds. I do think those storms that move through Madison gain strength east, but then the main line, we could see a couple rounds of supercell thunderstorms develop 4 to 5 p.m. west of Madison, Lone Rock, Mineral Point, Platteville, closer to about 5:36, reaching us closer to 6:30 to 7, and then racing eastward. But again, after 1 a.m., we're not out of the woods left. We're definitely still going to see a couple of chances for strong to severe thunderstorms, even as we head into daybreak tomorrow, and then the threat as we get into tomorrow afternoon and evening later in the day tomorrow, earlier than today's threat, though. Overall, I think that could open up late morning, early afternoon, something that we're going to be monitoring. But Josh, he's out live in Prairie du Sac, and he actually has someone with him who experienced the storms yesterday. Josh, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Yeah, good morning to you. You can see Milwaukee Valve behind me this morning, where a lot of the roof actually blew right off of this. There is debris littering this entire road. This is Tower Street on the city's north side, right near the town, the water tower here. And we're joined now by someone who actually witnessed the storm, Joe Ballwig. Joe, thanks for joining us here. Tell us a little bit about what you experienced last night.
Last night, shortly before midnight, we anticipated just regular severe thunderstorms. You know, we took the necessary precautions. Out of the blue, all of a sudden, we heard what I thought was sounding like a train or a freight train. And then the winds were blowing real bad, and trees on the other side of my apartment building here started tipping over. Then all of a sudden, I started seeing all this debris flying. Okay, then I look over outside my apartment window, and then I see insulation, this tin siding from Milwaukee Valve, all flying through. And then I saw our dumpster flying through. My kid woke up saying, "Daddy, what's going on?" I said, "Let's just get to our safe location in our apartment and wait for it to end."
Yeah, you can kind of see this is almost like a funnel of debris here. Obviously, the tree right behind laying on your residence here. I mean, this is some crazy stuff.
Well, of course, and when the storm ended and the fire department and the local police department were out, they advised everyone in my building not to go underneath this tree because they are concerned with it tipping and all that. Granted, it's leaning up against the building right now, but that, from what they said, won't matter because the tree could further stuff could happen. So they taped that off, and they taped off a tree down further.
So you've lived in Prairie du Sac your whole life? Have you ever witnessed anything like this?
Honestly, the closest, honestly, God, I have to say no. I've never seen anything like this specifically in the village of Prairie du Sac. I've never, ever seen anything like this. This is a first for me.
This is a lot. Well, Joe, we appreciate your time this morning. Glad you're okay. Glad your family's okay. And looks like the cleanup now begins.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Joe. And guys, we're going to be following this story throughout the day. You can tell just from where this started, this whole street now littered with debris. Just goes to show how powerful these storms are and just why it is so important that you are in your safe space. You can see some crews up here right now surveying the damage on top of Milwaukee Valve. So the cleanup begins for a lot of these communities today.
It'll be a long couple of days ahead for many communities in south central Wisconsin this morning. Josh, live in Prairie du Sac, thank you. I want to get you an update on some power outage numbers. Got some newly updated numbers from Alliant Energy. 8,600 customers without power this morning. That is down significantly from what it was just a couple of hours ago. MG&E making some progress, too, on getting folks back online. They had about 8,000 outages a couple hours ago. They are now down to 2,600, so about 10,000 total, which is about half of what it was whenever we started off the broadcast this morning. All right. Hey, Josh would have been out on campus today talking about Day of the Badger on UW-Madison. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Foundation and Alumni Association, Day of the Badger features virtual and in-person events bringing alumni and friends of UW-Madison together to raise funds to help the university remain a world-class educational institution.
Badgers everywhere are encouraged to join the fun. Gifts of any size add up and make a difference. There are more than 150 areas of campus participating in Day of the Badger this year, including schools, colleges, departments, and campus causes. You can support the university by going to this story Prairie right now on channel3000.com.
All right, 622. We're going to take a quick break, leave you with a live look from our Edgewater Skycam as those storms push out of the viewing area. Savannah is going to track the next rounds of severe weather in the forecast ahead.
The morning storm threat long over, but we're not out of the woods yet. Alert day conditions return later this afternoon and evening for the threat of severe weather. We'll time it out when we get back.
You're watching News 3 Now's special coverage on this alert day. I'm Chris Stanford.
And I'm Kyrie Lee. Thanks for waking up with us this morning. We have a lot to get to.
We have team coverage. Josh Sprider is live in Prairie du Sac surveying some of the damage. Let's first get to Savannah Burrito, who's tracking the current conditions and the next threats. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, just because we're out of the woods for the morning does not mean we're out of the woods as a whole today. We have another round of strong to severe thunderstorms where I do think they could be fairly widespread later this afternoon and evening, and that does include a tornado threat. We've been highlighting Tuesday being the worst day, but then we also have another alert day tomorrow as well. This is a loop over the last 6 hours. The severe weather long gone. We do not have anything on radar at the moment. Dry conditions. Most of the severe weather and activity was east and north of Madison. The orange or yellowish color, that was all the severe thunderstorm wind damage that we had. Several power outages still at this hour being reported. Power lines are down, branches, trees. So definitely give yourself a little bit of extra time. We do not currently have official tornado touchdown reports, waiting on word from the National Weather Service to get survey crews out. And then once we get word if we did see brief touchdowns, we will update everyone. But we did see a lot of rotation on radar and possible tornado touchdowns. Camp Douglas, La Crosse up to Wausau, that blue is all the hail reports that we had. Also had a lot of heavy rainfall, but forward focusing on the storm threat that we have later in the day. This is specifically Tuesday, start time 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. I think the peak time 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. and the storms move out of here 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Now that is when it's going to be the most widespread. Just because we get past 1 a.m. does not mean we're done with the storm threat. We'll time that out further and show what we could wake up with tomorrow morning. But let's head out to Josh. He's in Prairie du Sac giving us a look at the damage up there.
Hey Savannah, good morning to you. As the sun comes up, we're seeing just how much of an impact this storm had on Prairie du Sac last night. Take a look at this insulation wrapped around this tree. This is actually from Milwaukee Valve across the street here. This is Tower Street. We are near the water tower here in Prairie du Sac. You can really see just where this storm came right down Tower Street. Uprooted trees right next to that residence building. We just talked to one of the witnesses who lived there. He said it happened within about 5 to 10 seconds. That debris littering all the way down Tower Street, impacting this whole neighborhood. Take a look at that roof back there. Obviously, some sort of a tree fell onto the roof. You can see the damage from the fascia all the way down to the roof itself. And then that debris path continues all the way down Tower Street. Just look at that, a couple of blocks away, the tin, the insulation, just spanning this neighborhood. So it just goes to show how powerful this storm was last night. And you just heard it from Joe Ballwig, one of the witnesses to this storm. He said it happened so quickly. They heard it and then it was done just like that. So we're going to continue following some of this damage and show you some of those new images, especially now that daylight is out, guys. A whole different image compared to around midnight when this all rolled through.
What a mess. A lot of cleanup there. Josh, thanks. Want to show you this from northern Dane County. A church is damaged. Pictures from St. Joseph's in East Bristol posted to its Facebook page. They show part of the roof ripped off, debris and damage inside as well where people worship. The post on Facebook says a tornado hit the church overnight, but officials are still trying to determine if that's the case. This was one of the hardest hit areas from last night's storms.
And we're getting some more viewer images in. This is from Desiree in Prairie du Sac. First photo you see here is a tree on top of a home. You can see trees all around, down around the area as well. So thank you for sending this in, Desiree.
A live look at the Alliant Energy's outage map. Energy companies making some progress getting the lights back on for folks. About half of the outages that we saw earlier this morning when we started the broadcast, Alliant Energy reporting 8,500 customers in the dark this morning. MG&E customers are down to 2,600. That is down from 8,000 plus customers that were affected in the early morning hours. So those outages are scattered really to the north and to the east of that Madison area. A lot of Madison communities hit with a lot of down power lines, and just be aware that some of those intersections could be without stoplights too. We've seen a number of places being affected by that situation, and also trees that have fallen across roads and a lot of branches that are down. So if you haven't headed out yet and you still plan to, please be cautious and take some extra time. Wanted to show you this viewer video from the Union Terrace last night. Flashes off in the distance, some power flashes. This could be in that Lodi, Prairie du Sac area where we saw Josh Breiter report from just a few moments ago. Our team does not know if this is caused by straight line winds or if it was a tornado or not. We do want to thank Israel, though, for sending in that video.
Yes, lots of things going on out there.
Yeah, they will be sending out crews to survey that damage, but we have severe weather the next several days, so it might be a little hard, but I do think they plan on doing that yet this morning. And yeah, between the power outages and everything, want to give yourself extra time, because when I was closing my garage, because I had to manually do it this morning, clipped my fingers. They're on still, but
thankfully.
It went in between the crack because I had to manually open it and close it because my power has been out. That was not fun, so be careful today.
Yeah, it's not things you even think about, so make sure you're allowing yourself some extra time between, those outages and the debris on the roadways
You'll need
as well.
it, for sure.
Yes.
And because we have additional risks of severe weather today and tomorrow, make sure you get that First Warn Weather app handy. You can stay ahead of the storms yourself. If you don't have it, download it wherever you get your apps.
Well, time now is 6:35. To other local news of the day. The person accused of killing a former co-worker in a downtown parking ramp is set to appear in court today.
Diamond Wallace is charged with first-degree intentional homicide and being a felon in possession of a firearm. Police found the body of 61-year-old Christine Jones inside that parking ramp on West Wash Avenue by the Hyatt Hotel last month. The criminal complaint says Wallace worked at the hotel until last April. She allegedly blamed Jones for her firing. Madison police later recovered a gun from Wallace's apartment. Wallace is scheduled to appear at 2:30 this afternoon.
A man is now in custody following a drive-by shooting on Madison's east side last month. The suspect is facing 2 counts of attempted homicide. Officers responded to Commercial Avenue near Aberg Avenue after reports of shots fired. When they arrived, they found shattered glass from a vehicle. Police say video shows the 22-year-old suspect driving an SUV and firing at a car with 2 people inside. Investigators say he knew the 2 people in that vehicle. And now to the war in the Middle East. Today, the Trump administration is expected to hold talks between Israel and Lebanon.
It comes as the U.S. military blockade of the Strait of Hormuz shipping continues this morning. That move, blocking travel to and from Iranian ports, began a couple of days after Vice President J.D. Vance met with Iranian officials in Pakistan. Neither side agreed to a full deal. The ongoing ceasefire set to expire in 8 days from now. President Trump made the threat if a deal is not reached by then.
It won't be pleasant for them, let me put it that way.
Meantime, the leaders of the UK and France say they plan to host a summit regarding the Strait of Hormuz as the United Nations calls on all parties to respect freedom of navigation. Let's take a look at what this is all doing to your gas prices this morning. Statewide, a gallon of gas is selling for $3.78. The nationwide average is $4.12. 6:37 now at the state capitol. Today, lawmakers across the state are going to meet for a special session on gerrymandering.
That's a controversial practice where newly drawn district maps can give one political party an advantage. The state Supreme Court threw out the state's legislative maps back in 2023. Governor Evers signed new maps into law in 2024. A separate challenge to the state's congressional maps is still ongoing. Evers has also previously called for special sessions on child care, the state's budget surplus, and abortion law. This comes just one day after Governor Evers called for fair maps in Wisconsin and says progress is being made on tax relief talks at the state capitol. Evers says negotiations have now narrowed to just a handful of key issues as lawmakers prepare to leave Madison. The governor also says there's no shouting and screaming in those talks and that both sides are moving closer together.
When you have to compromise and now both sides compromise and both sides get a win, that's going to be the way whether the Democrats take both houses or the Republicans take 2 houses. I believe that the fair maps have made democracy a little bit better in the state.
The governor added he's leaving the door open to calling lawmakers back into session, even right after the election, if that's what it takes to finish work on tax relief, fair maps, and other key issues.
We now know the shows coming to the Overture Center for this season. They include Tony winners and big shows hitting the stage. The Overture says that the season is going to include over 30 shows, 8 highly anticipated Broadway productions, including The Wiz, Maybe Happy Ending, Six the Musical, Death Becomes Her, Hell's Kitchen, Hadestown, The Outsiders, and Jersey Boys. Overture Center leadership says Madison's a destination to see shows like this for counties across the state.
One of the things that I love is everybody coming downtown to come to their show, to visit the restaurants, to visit the stores, and to create this really great downtown community. I think that's one of the greatest things that we have to offer.
It won't be pleasant for them, let me put it that way.
Sorry about that, folks. So, along with the Broadway shows, you can expect National Geographic Live, Twilight in Concert, and the Fringe Festival.
All right, lots of good productions coming to our city.
Overture always brings in some fantastic acts. Here's another fantastic season.
Yes. Well, we're checking back in with Savannah. Savannah, it's an alert day. Seems like things have calmed down since last night into the morning.
Yes, definitely. We had severe weather. That is long over. We are tracking more severe weather where I think it's going to be even more widespread with more hazards later this afternoon and evening. So today is an alert day. And then as we get into Wednesday, another alert day in the forecast. But Tuesday, today, we've been highlighting as the day where we could see widespread and numerous severe thunderstorms and potentially a couple of stronger tornadoes. This is when we're expecting that widespread storm activity. So basically later this afternoon and evening, peaking between 5 and 10 p.m., ending after 1. That's just when it's going to be the most widespread. Just because we get past 1 p.m. or 1 in the morning tomorrow does not mean our threat is over. We will time that out coming up.
Sounds good, Savannah. Also ahead, we'll take more looks at the damage left from last night's storms and an update on the power outages.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Good Tuesday morning. We did have a very active radar the last couple of hours. A storm and severe threat long over for the morning at least, but we have the second part of our alert day and storms that are going to return later in the day. So everything has moved far to our southeast. All the damage reports from the overnight storms have really focused to our east and also north of Madison. This orange color is severe thunderstorm wind damage that we had. Trees down, tree branches down, some power lines down, and a lot of power outages that we're still tracking. Up towards Camp Douglas and Wausau, central Wisconsin pretty much had the hail damage, and that's where those threats were. We did have a lot of rotation on radar and maybe some possible tornado touchdowns. We're waiting for national weather crews to go out and survey damage this morning and over the next couple of days to get official reports and word if we did or did not see those. But there was a lot of rotation. Rainfall, we also saw anywhere between basically a tenth to almost an inch across far southeastern portions of Dane County and Jefferson counties. Any of that blue, that's anywhere between an inch or half an inch and an inch. And then the most heavy rain fell near Wisconsin Dells, Camp Douglas, over those places and eastward towards Fond du Lac, upwards of 2 to 3 inches there. Our alert day later for today, everyone across southern Wisconsin, we've been highlighting Tuesday is the day to watch. We will actively have numerous severe thunderstorms and widespread severe weather, including some possible tornadoes. We also have an alert day for tomorrow. We'll break each day down. So today, those storms expecting to start between 1 and 5 p.m., little earlier than 5 for areas west of Madison, peaking 5 to 10 p.m. Again, earlier west of Madison, a little later closer to 9 to 10 p.m., basically east of Madison. That storm threat ends, the widespread severe threat anyways, after 1 in the morning. We're not out of the woods yet. That's just when we're expecting the most widespread storm activity. I still think we'll have an active radar tomorrow during our morning show, where we could even see some strong to severe thunderstorms at that point in time too. Everyone under the orange, most of southern Wisconsin, Viroqua up towards Fond du Lac, down into parts of northern Illinois, is included in this level 3 out of 5. This is where the best chance of severe weather is going to be, and Madison kind of in the heart of that, especially down towards like the Janesville areas too. So something that we're monitoring. Again, all modes of severe weather possible. Once we get into tomorrow, the threat's still going to be there. Overall, the threat is a little bit lower. This is basically areas south of Wisconsin Dells, Madison, Madison, Janesville into northern Illinois because of our stalled front that is still going to allow us to be active into parts of Wednesday. Some stronger tornadoes possible, large hail, high winds also in excess of 70+ miles per hour. Large hail, we could even see 2 to 4 inches in diameter, and even flooding, ponding definitely on roadways, and more heavy rain that's in the forecast. We're expecting a little bit of clearing, some sun early, cloudy then as we get closer to lunchtime with temperatures into the 70s. This is when our first chance of supercells will develop, about 2 to 3 p.m. Madison and westward, traveling eastward, and I do think they could even gain strength as they head east towards Jefferson, the Watertown areas, Beaver Dam, Elkhorn, Lake Geneva, but then also tracking this line that'll move into Viroqua, Boscobel, and Prairie du Chien closer to 4 to 5 p.m. Lone Rock, Mineral Point, Platteville, and those areas just directly east closer to about 6 to 6:30. For us, I think that moves through the heart of the area closer to 6:30, 7, even 7:30. Those storms race out of here, but we're left still with some storms likely even after this point in time. We're also watching tomorrow for alert day conditions as well later in the afternoon and evening. Josh is out live in Prairie du Sac showing off the damage from last night's storm. Josh, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you once again. We're working our way a little bit deeper into this neighborhood here on the north side. Just for reference, you can see the water tower for Prairie du Sac right behind us. We're right near Milwaukee Valve, and you can see where this storm really moved down Tower Street. Take a look at these trees right here, either knocked over, snapped in half, or partially knocked over, and then that continues all the way down here. We showed you that home a little bit earlier. Now we're a little bit more up close. You can see where all these trees really toppled down on top of here. These visuals are quite amazing. You can literally see where some of these trees were snapped in half. And of course, this is right behind that residence where we talked to a witness, one of those folks that actually lives here, Joe Ballwig, a little bit earlier. And he said around midnight, it happened within about 5-10 seconds and it was over. It sounded loud, but it was out of here. And of course, we showed you some of the damage from Milwaukee Valve on the other side of this residence. This whole neighborhood completely covered. And when you're looking at some of the debris just lying around, like the sign, it's hard to tell even where some of this stuff came from. So that just goes to show how powerful this storm was and just how much of an impact it had here in Prairie du Sac as that cleanup now begins as the sun comes up. It's going to be quite the day here as folks are surveying the damage, and we know crews will be out taking a look at this damage to see what exactly happened here last night, guys.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky because we have more risks of severe weather in the forecast. So does the National Weather Service go out and survey that today before we get more, maybe tonight or tomorrow? So we'll wait and see and, of course, report back. Josh Sprider in Prairie du Sac. Thank you, Josh. All right, we do have some power outages. An update on the latest numbers of people without service this morning in South Central Wisconsin. Alliant Energy reporting 8,400 customers without power this morning. That is down several thousand from when we started the newscast. MG&E making some progress as well. They are at 2,600 customers. That's down from about 8,000 whenever the newscast began. So all in all, about half of the outages have been restored at this point as crews try to deal with some of those individual outages that are scattered across the northern part of our viewing area. All right, 6:50. Josh would have been out at Day of the Badger today on campus, but instead he's at Prairie du Sac showing you the storm damage. We do want to tell you about Day of the Badger, though, going on. It's sponsored by the Wisconsin Foundation and Alumni Association. Day of the Badger bringing together alumni and friends of UW-Madison to raise critical funds to help the university remain a world-class educational institution.
Badgers everywhere are encouraged to join the fun. Gifts of any size add up and make a difference. There are more than 150 areas of campus participating in Day of the Badger this year, including schools, colleges, departments, and campus causes. You can support the university by going to this story on Channel3000.com. Well, coming up in the morning sprint, several facing power outages, as mentioned in our viewing area. We'll have the latest just ahead.
If you have a little kiddo turning 3 soon, send us a picture. We'll show it on TV. .654, time for the biggest stories of the day in the morning sprint.
We're tossing things out to Josh, who is live showing us storm damage.
What's left after?
Go ahead, Josh.
Good morning to you guys. Yeah, people are beginning to clean up the pieces of what a major storm left behind last night. Check out this debris littering Tower Street on the village's north side. You can see all of this spanning this entire neighborhood. Trees toppled over and debris everywhere. Now, this all came from Milwaukee Valve, actually down the street. You can see the tin roof and the insulation mangled all over the place. Luckily, we're not hearing of any major injuries, but now crews are out kind of surveying that damage today, and we'll be out here as well.
Thanks, Josh. Overnight storms knocking out power to more than 20,000 customers in the viewing area. Lion Energy now reporting about 8,500 customers without. MG&E reporting about 2,500, so about half of those customers have been restored.
And we are also getting some viewer photos of overnight damage. This is from Desiree in Prairie du Sac. First photo here, you can see a tree on top of a home, trees down too, much like what Josh just showed us. So thank you all for sending in these photos.
And in northern Dane County, a church is damaged. Pictures here from St. Joseph's in East Bristol posted to its Facebook page. They show part of the roof ripped off and debris and damage inside. The post says a tornado hit the church overnight, but officials are still trying to determine if that was the case.
Well, most of our storm reports were to the east and north of Madison. A lot of thunderstorm wind damage. That's all the yellow and oranges. We had some hail reports up near the Camp Douglas area, Wausau, and just to the southeast of Wisconsin Dells. We also had a lot of heavy rain. The severe threat for the morning over. That happened several hours ago. Not out of the woods for today yet, though. Today we've been highlighting Tuesday as the most likely day for numerous rounds of severe thunderstorms and widespread severe weather, including some stronger tornadoes that are going to be possible as we head into the late afternoon, early evening hours. Tomorrow is also an alert day. Could still see some stronger storms Thursday and more specifically Friday. So off and on storm chances through the rest of your week. Just make sure that you are downloading the app and staying weather aware. Stick with the First Warn Weather team for the latest.
All right, Savannah, thank you for all the updates this morning.
Okay, make sure to tune in to later News 3 Now newscasts for more storm damage coverage and forecasts.